Good afternoon to you all, and welcome to this 3-day being together. I've always got something important to say, like you do. So I'm going to say it. There is only the body. I know that flies in the face of all the teachings in the world. But there is only the physical senses or physical body. That's all there is. And it's because something else has evolved in the passage of time out of that body. Something has evolved to spring out of the body as a form of intelligence, that everybody has problems and troubles. Nobody who is in their senses, that means in the body, physical body, has any troubles. It is the rarest thing on earth, of course, for anyone not to have any troubles, and also for anyone to be completely in their body. Because we have evolved. Unfortunately, we are caught in evolution. And what we should be doing is involution, going backwards. Evolution is going forwards. Involution is going, in a sense, backwards, but really it's backward within. Evolution is a scientific thing, and we're all caught up in it, like stainless steel evolved out of the Bronze Age, the something other age, the Steel Age, and all the rest, and eventually we got stainless steel. So that your motor car that you drove here in was once a carriage. Before that it was a horse. And before that it was just walking. And everything evolved into the horse, and then into the carriage, and then into the motor car, and then into the jets that are flying around. That's all evolution. And there's nothing you can do about it except to see it for what it is. For it is that is taking you out of your body and inventing something called yourself, your ego, or I. All an invention. All part of becoming, which is what evolution is. You and I have become what is called now, popularly called the ego, the self, or I. That's where we're at here. And everyone in the world is in the same position. Involution, which is not going back from the jets or back to the aircraft of the First World War or back to the kites that were before that, that's not involution. Involution is an inner movement within. As I retreat from myself. I retreat from this thing that's called ego, and then I retreat from I by knowing what I am. I can only retreat by seeing with the intelligence that is here in that body listening to these words. That's the only way I can retreat, is intelligently. Now you'll be able to ask me questions about all that I'm saying, and I shall invite them later. But anything that you think of, it doesn't matter what you think of, is wrong, incorrect. It's got nothing to do with being true to being in your body. So anything that you think of is got nothing to do. It's all part, your thought is all part of evolution. All part of becoming. Now, you've become older as I have become older. Because becoming is an aspect of time, or the drive of time is behind becoming. The drive of time is behind evolution. But involution is about intelligence, which is not dependent on time. Involution is dependent on intelligence, and time is an unavoidable movement in which everybody is caught up in without seeing the truth of what it means, what I'm talking about. So every thought that you ever have about what you should do or shouldn't do is incorrect. It's going to be a cause of problems to you, because in that case it'll just confuse you, you won't know what to do. Because you are deciding what to do with your life instead of just being your life. I know this is difficult. I know it's difficult because everybody thinks they know what they're doing. And you don't know what you're doing. And if you owned up, you don't know what you're doing at all. You're just doing what you're doing. Now, when you are in your body, in your senses, because your senses are the same as your body, it is your senses that make your body. It is the senses that make my body. It's the senses, my senses, that make you here in front of me, because if I didn't have any senses, you'd disappear. So it's the senses that make the body, and the body that make the senses, whichever way you like. But what we're being taught is to get away from our senses. But why? Because we're always hoping for something else. We're always hoping is the key word. We're always hoping and wishing. We always want to be immortal. And we say we know, or we think we know, that the body is mortal, therefore we've got to get away from the body. And all the spiritual teachings about getting away from the body. The Christians want to go to heaven, which is always away from the body. And the Muslims, they want to go to heaven, their idea of heaven, because that's away from the body too. And so the Muslims want to just be a martyr and kill themselves to get to this so-called heaven. When the only heaven, I can tell you now, the only heaven is here on earth while you are here. That's the only heaven. But as everyone lives in some form of hell, how could you believe me? Everyone's made some sort of hell of this place, which is heaven, because there's none other while you are alive. And who's to tell you that there's one when you're dead? This is all you know. This is heaven, or it's hell. Which do you want? Well, everyone's making a hell of it. And the whole world reflects the hell that you and I have made of it. All the wars are part of the hell that you and I have made. All the domestic violence, all the murders, everything is part of the hell that you and I have made through thinking that we have something else other than where we are. We have become the violence the world has become the violence that we have allowed within ourselves. Thought being violent. Because all thought leads to decisions, and decisions are staccato. Boom, boom. Like punches, decisions. We're always making decisions. We're always making choices. Staccato, boom, boom, like punches. And then we take it out on our children. And we take it out on the people we say we love. We get moody and we get unhappy. Why wouldn't you get moody and unhappy when you make a hell of this place that should be a heaven while you are here? What is heaven? We better define heaven, had we? Because nobody's ever defined it yet rightly. except the Christians with their rubbish of idea of heaven, and the Muslims, and the Hindus, and all of them. What is heaven? Heaven has to be a place where I no longer suffer. That's all. I mean, to a drug addict, a good injection of the stuff is like heaven to them. Because they're suffering, they get an injection of something and they call it heaven because they're suffering. How about getting rid of the suffering? All of you are suffering in some way or other. Even if you think you're not suffering, you're still suffering as far as I'm concerned because you're not in your senses. And you'll make others suffer. You'll make the people that you say you love suffer. Until you come to your senses. So these 3 days, I want to address in you this question of involution. While everything's becoming, while everything's evolving, while the body is becoming older. So it's the body that we see here is part of the becoming, right? Now, at the same time, there is integrity. There has to be integrity here. And that is what has brought you here. Because you are concerned with integrity. Integrity means whole. To be integral is to be part of a whole or to be integrated into a whole. That's what you came here for and what you're here for. So while we're becoming older, we're becoming this, we're becoming that, life's going on, you're getting a new job, you're getting fired, you're going on the dole, then you get some other break, but it doesn't matter. In the end, it all disappears. That's evolution. That's becoming. But is there an integrity in that? Which means, is there a justice in it anywhere? I mean, is there any justice anywhere that you've seen any justice anywhere in your life? If you're looking for the courts, you have never seen any justice there yet, have you? And you never will. If you're seeing any justice in the lawyers, you can forget it. They're all unjust, the whole lot of them, because they all work to a prescribed, evolved situation. Now, that can't be avoided. We can't escape the lawyers. We can't escape the alcohol. We can't escape the domestic violence. It doesn't matter what happens. You'll never get rid of domestic violence because man is violent and woman is violent because they don't stop thinking. They're all caught up in that one mad, what they call rightly, the rat race. And we're all in it. We're all becoming. But do we have to be attached to it? Does it have to pick you up and swing you around like that? Certainly you have to go with it because you can't get younger in body, in the body that is presented to you by the physical senses. You have to go with it. You have to have all the failures and successes that you have. And on it goes until everybody ends up in hospital or the need of it, right? That's it. That's how it is. Every single body ends up in hospital or the need of it in the end. No wonder we're wishing and hoping. No wonder we're hoping for a heaven. And we're praying up to God to save us while we still perpetuate ignorance and unhappiness on earth. So we ought to talk about involution, and that means intelligence. And why you're here is to endeavour to not become more intelligent. For God's sake, you can't become more intelligent because then you'll be evolving. You have to be more intelligent. And there's no reason you shouldn't be more intelligent, because where I come from, apart from your attachment to the rat race and to your thoughts and to your ego and to yourself and to I that you call yourself, apart from that attachment, you are intelligence. But you've got to be intelligent, not become it. You can't become more spiritual. All you become is more stupid. There's no spiritual path. All you have to do is be intelligent. And then it is clear what is necessary when you're intelligent. But while you're trying to become something, while you're trying to become a lawyer, a therapist, a spiritual healer, while you're trying to become a doctor or trying to become anything, you are going to cause pain to yourself and to those that love you. Because you're trying to become something. You've got to give up this trying. And you'll be able to ask me questions about anything that I refer to that applies to you, so that we can get it straight. Because I can't put it all straight to all the confusion that's in this room, the people in this room, about what to do. To be intelligent is to not be attached to any thought that you have. If you want to say it, don't. If you want to do it, don't. If you want to think it, don't. Put a brake on. And then I'll tell you, go and do it. Go and do it. Do what you must. Do what you have to do. But do you have to do what you're doing? That's the question. Are you intelligent enough to see the difference? Now, the key word here is intelligence. Intelligence is the rarest quality on this planet, except in the animals, and except in the animal body that you are and I am. That is intelligent. But we have overridden the intelligence in the body. We've overridden it with our superior unintelligence, with our idea of an ego, which is only our own desires, our own willfulness, our ideas of self, our selfish ideas, which only our willfulness, and this I thing. We don't understand I. But we're going to talk about that. All those commodities we're going to talk about, so that you get it straight, so that you can be more intelligent than you are. Because I don't care if what you've done in this world doesn't matter that much. That doesn't make you intelligent. It doesn't make you, the Queen of England is certainly not intelligent. Nobody's intelligent unless they are free of unhappiness and troubles and problems in this existence. That's what heaven is. Surely. Or have you got some other idea of heaven where you get your 5 houris waiting for you if you're a Muslim when you die a martyr? 5 beautiful houris women are waiting for you. Well, I wonder what the women think about this. Some idiot goes and kills his body and comes to her and expects her to love him. What do the women think? What do the women get? What do the women get from the houris? The houris are being the women. Are there 5 men waiting for them? I shouldn't think so. Any of these crappy religious ideas. Crappy ideas about anything is crap, bullshit, rubbish. You just have to do what you do. But the trouble is, doing what you do is your ego, yourself, your willfulness will want to do something else, or it will want to do something, and that will overpower the wonder of your body, your natural senses. And then you'll get confused. And then perhaps you'll write to me and ask me what's happened. I had this wonderful experience and now it seems to have lost me. Well, you've certainly lost it, all right, because you've become unintelligent again. For a brief second, you became intelligent and you had a wonderful sense of freedom, of knowledge. But then you started to introduce yourself to it, your thinking to it, your wanting to it, your wishing to it, your hoping to it. And you became unintelligent. Whereas to be in heaven is to be intelligent all the time, without cessation. Now, what is it to be intelligent? To be intelligent, to be as nothing. That gentleman that just yawned, are you with me for the first time?
No, I've been with you before.
How long ago?
It's been a while.
Now that's how
Since you were
long?
last in Sydney.
Last in Sydney, that's a long time ago, isn't it? So, did you come up from Sydney or are you living up here at Byron Bay?
I've come up from Sydney. I left about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah. Where are you living?
In my car.
Yeah. Heading for Byron?
I've been to Byron for a little while.
Yeah, good, yeah. Now, the only reason that when you yawn like that, I've seen many, many tonsils. But what happens is that it's a good sign, you see, because when I start speaking, because I speak straight to the intelligence which is in your unconscious and not in your subconscious, the subconscious starts to get tired and wearied of the penetration. So you might feel a bit tired, and even if you doze off, that's okay with me, because I'll either wake you or I won't. It'll be okay. Okay?
I am following you though.
Yeah, okay, good. So we're talking about intelligence. So what is it to be intelligent? Well, when you first start off to be intelligent, as many of you have started to do, your life starts to get better. You start to know that your life is getting better. What's happening is it's not your life getting better, you are becoming more intelligent, and as you become more intelligent, so your external life improves. It's not the other way around, because all the people making the money, making the success of the things out there, like the Queen and like the Governor General, like the Prime Minister, all that sort of stuff is being a success is going to make the trouble around you. You see, being a success makes trouble around you because it's not intelligent. Intelligent, and it is intelligent if success just happens. But you can't try to do it. If you try to do it, you create waves, and then you create waves of problems. So we'll be able to get down to what I'm talking about, won't we, when you start asking me questions, and when we get into these 3 days. Because these 3 days are necessary for me to start to get you to see what it is to be intelligent. We could start off, couldn't we, by saying, well, how do I know where I'm unintelligent? Well, this intelligence is wonderful because it always says, well, where are you unhappy? In your heavenly life here. Because if it's heaven here, then any place that you're unhappy, with your mother, your father, your children, your love life, your own idea of your self-esteem, your own self-doubt, then that's where you're unintelligent. Now, is that fair enough? I mean, you've got to be practical, haven't you? That's the practical answer. Of course, the world doesn't want to hear that because everybody's got troubles and problems and difficulties. They've got difficulties with their children, with their mother and father, with their lovers, their ex-lovers particularly, going back that one, and the big one back there, yeah? And now the father abused you, and the mother didn't care for you, and he left home, and she left you, and all this stuff back there. Well, If you're troubled by any of that stuff, then you're not intelligent. Well, you can't be while you're troubled, because intelligence is not troubled. So all I'm here to do is to awaken the knowledge in you of where you are unintelligent in your life. That's all. You've got to do it all. You've got to do it. And whatever you keep thinking about is another place where you're not intelligent. So what do you keep thinking about? You know what you keep thinking about. That's in your life where you're not being intelligent. And where do you get emotional about? What do you get emotional about? If you get emotional, you're certainly not intelligent. You're lost in yourself, this self that you made. You made yourself. And when you're emotional, of course, you go into the sea of emotion of yourself, and you're part of it. And so you get emotion. And you spread it around, saying it's all right for you. But it just shows how unintelligent you are. So we're going to get back to what it is to be intelligent. But the only way really to discover what it is to be intelligent is to talk about what's not intelligent in your life. So that you can see it. Because I can't do it for you. Where do you have your problems? That's where your unintelligence is there. Because in this place, if you were in your body, there are no problems. Now I keep repeating at the different meetings when I say the equivalent of that I have cancer and I'm well and truly into it, but I don't have any problems with it. So that's not a problem. To have cancer is not a problem. So it's not a problem to have cancer. But everybody makes a problem of it, including the doctors and the people. You have to do what you do when you have cancer. But doing what you do is different from thinking about it. You see, every action can be done without thought. Only it's been inculcated into us that you need to think about what you're going to do. Don't you? You need to think about what you're going to do. Now that is a lie, because that is the perpetuation of unintelligence to think about what you're going to do. Can you ever get to the state where you just do what you do? Well, the extraordinary thing is that much of your life is spent just doing what you do. But then this terrible I comes up and starts thinking, starts reflecting on your memory and thinking about your memory, what's in your memory. Now, when you do what you do, like my hands are moving now, they're moving now when there's no reference to memory. Where the movement comes from, that would only be smart to try and ask that question. Doesn't matter where the movement comes from. Like the movement when you do something. It's always now. There's no thought attached to it. Like the beating of your heart. There's no thought attached to it. As a matter of fact, if you start thinking about your heart, it'll probably beat a bit faster and you'll get anxious. But otherwise, the intelligence keeps your heart beating. And if you've got any blood, keeps your blood circulating. Without any thought. But of course, we're not that intelligent, are we? We humans are not as intelligent as our bodies. Are we? Obviously not. Because we're always thinking about things instead of just doing what I'm doing. I've got to use the word I here because the human language has evolved, has become to such an extent that we have to talk in terms of the personal pronoun, I. We use it all day long. And there's no other thing that we can use. Except I remember hearing different Hamish people or someone of that nature saying, what's a body to do? Well, that makes more sense than what am I to do? Or whatever I do will be problematic. But what's a body to do is an acknowledgement that I don't need I to make my decisions for me. That I don't need any decisions. Only when I stop making decisions am I intelligent or close to it. So your body is the only truth. In your whole psychonomy, your body is the only truth. If I can only be the intelligence in my body, or approximate it, or get close to it, then I will not be unhappy. How do I do this? Well, clearly I have to give up all my thinking, all my decisions, all my choosing. I have to not put up with troublesome situations unless I intelligently know something. That this situation that is bothering you now was self-made. Every problem in your life now, you made. Self-made. And it is the law of consequences that what you have done, what you have said, what you have thought is going to have consequences that will have to be addressed in time in your living life and mine. That's how it works. You cannot escape the consequences of your word, thought, or action. Of course, the thoughts we think we can get away with because the consequences of them are not clear to us. But then we wonder why I'm confused. We wonder why I can't stop thinking. It's because the consequences of thought are worry. Clear? If you want to think, then you invoke worry, which is just a faster type of thinking, over which you have no control. Is that true? Yes, that's true. For when you are worried, and you keep thinking about this matter that's worrying you, all you can say is, I don't want to think anymore. I want to stop it. I'm going to stop it now. Boom. And of course you can't stop it, because that's the consequences of your thinking. Now, are you hearing me? Thought, word, and deed all have consequences in every single one of our lives. But nobody tells us that. We know there's a game called consequences or some stupid thing. But this is no game. This is our living lives. And I'll have to use the word I here until we can get rid of that later. I and that body have to start seeing that everything problem that I am facing, whether it's in my job, in my love life, with my children, my home, or anywhere, is self-made, the consequences of previous actions. It is vastly intelligent to be able to see this, because people throw it away and gloss over it and think it doesn't matter. And so life goes on. They die. It's all right. Life goes on. Goes on. Goes on. Goes on. Doesn't matter. But if it matters to you, who's listening to these words, and as you're here, it must matter to you to some degree, then you can listen to me and see if what I say is true. Everything is a consequence. Everything of your actions.